Okay, hi guys, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about prospecting, and kind of what I'm going to be talking about today is based off of this book, Jeb Blount. It's called Fanatical Prospecting. I highly encourage reading it. Someone wants to borrow my copy, you can, just got to give it back after. A very, very simplistic, I would say, look at what our business is all about, and that's about generating a pipeline, right? That's really all we need to do, and that's what we need to focus most of our time on. Oops, sorry, Kathy's joining. Again, it's all we need to do. It's what we need to focus our time on, and it's the thing that I don't think any of you guys are doing, right? We in this business tend to go for the lowest hanging fruit, right? We go for the listing that we have and getting the listing rented. We go through getting a sale and doing it and stuff like that. We rely on our personal networks to give us referrals, right? And I'm 100% guilty of this as well. You might be doing some tasks in order to expand your network, but according to Jeb, you should be spending 80% of your time, whatever time you can devote to real estate, be it 20 hours, 30 hours, 40 hours, 60 hours a week, you should be spending about 80% of that time prospecting. And we're going to talk about kind of a couple different ways that you can prospect, but really this is taking everything down to the easiest possible level and talking about the fact that we work in sales. One thing to remember is that when we prospect, we're going to be interrupting someone. And so when we do that, we need to make sure that what we're giving them is something that they need, or something that they want, or something that we can convince them that they need, right? And so the mere act of prospecting is interrupting someone's day. And we always feel like, oh, they don't want to talk to me, they don't want to do whatever. Get that out of your mind, right? That doesn't matter at all. Because if you are giving them something that will be beneficial to them, it will be something that they want, right? And again, we're going to talk about some scripts that I came up with and that I think will work extremely well in many of our markets. These can be adapted to kind of whatever you're prospecting for. But remember, prospecting is picking up the phone and talking to someone. It is walking into the door of a store and talking to the guy who works there. It's sending an email to someone to say, hey, I have something that could be of value to you. It's sending a text message saying the same thing, right? It's messaging someone on LinkedIn to get them into your network, be it a landlord or a seller or something like that. Or it's posting on social media with the hope that you'll get inbound calls, right? And so we need to do this in order to be successful in this business, right? We need to interrupt people. We need to make sure that we take a little bit of time out of their day to tell them what we can do for them. And, Jeb kind of talks about there are really three things that are holding people back from doing this. And again, they're all things that I think are applicable to all of us, right? The first is procrastination. You wake up in the morning, Kathy. We wake up in the morning, we open our email, and I was talking to Christine about this, right? And we think, oh, I have to get back to everyone, right? And so we are stopping our day and what we need to do over the course of the day in order to be successful, to do something that someone else wants, right? And instead of that, my call to you, and we'll talk about time and stuff like that, is don't worry about that, right? If someone wants to see an apartment tonight, tomorrow, whatever it is, you don't have to get back to them right away. And one of the things we'll discuss is how to create an environment for yourself where you can prospect. The second thing that holds people back is perfectionism, right? A couple of you are new to the business, a couple of you have been in the business for a little bit of time, some of you have been in business for a while, and we want to know, what is the perfect script, right? What is the perfect thing to say? What is the perfect time to do something? I don't have enough information, right? None of that matters, right? Because the mere fact of you calling more people, the mere fact of you getting in front of more people is going to mean that you have more success. And so how perfect you are doesn't matter, right? And we'll talk about how to put together, a compelling thing to say. But it doesn't matter. If you say, oh, I'm bad at cold calls, who the fuck cares? Sorry, I'm going to be very blunt on this call, right? Who the fuck cares? It doesn't matter. I was awful at it, right? I remember the first 100 calls when I started doing it. I was awful. I was like, it doesn't matter, right? Because you need to do it. And you need to get over all the obstacles. You need to get over the hurdles. And the last is analysis paralysis. Well, I don't have, a call list, right? I don't have the right numbers to call? What if it's not the right person? What if it's not, it says Joe Smith here. What if it's Jane Smith? What do I do, right? And so we have this paralysis from so much information coming out, so many people we can call, right? And so many things that we can do. And so, the solution to all this is just do it, right? Just pick up the phone. Just print out a list of names, print out a list from Cole, print out a list from wherever you want to get it, right? Call everyone you've ever talked to in real estate, right? Because there is something of value that you can give to them. And the easiest thing in our kind of general thing is a market update, right? And we're going to talk about some more kind of granular things we can give. But hey, what's going on in the market? I just want to tell you what's going on in the market, right? I'd love to share with you what's going on in the market because it could be beneficial to you. And again, we'll talk about how to construct all these things. But the solution to all this is just to do it, right? Figure out a time block schedule to get over the procrastination. Don't worry about the fact you're not going to be perfect at this at first, right? Because every time you do it, you get better, you get more objections, right? And again, there are so many things that we can do. You just have to get down to the, put the pedal to the metal and actually just do it. So this is kind of like one of the really interesting things, right? The more you prospect, the luckier you're going to be. Too many of us think that this business comes down to luck, right? Oh, Jason is very lucky because he has X. Oh, Anthony is very lucky because he knows Y. Oh, Kathy is very lucky because of Z, right? Right? And we might say, well, I don't have a network. Well, I don't have, experience. Well, I don't have anything going on. But if you think about it, right, the daily imperative that we have every day is to get qualified prospects in our pipeline, to get people that we can talk to get people that we can work with, to get people who are looking to move, to buy something, to sell something, to find a new commercial space, right? And so think about what your pipeline looks like, because what you have in your pipeline right now is going to be your income 90 days from today. Or again, if you're working primarily in rentals, it's your income in the next 2 to 4 weeks, let's say, right? So if you don't have so many people that you are taking out every single day on appointments, that you don't have any time to prospect, you need to spend 80% of your time prospecting, right? That's a rule. You need to be spending time filling your pipeline with people that you can work with. For some of you, that could be a pipeline of rental owners. For some of you, it could be a pipeline of rental tenants. For some buyers, for some sellers, for some people, commercial clients to work with, right? But if you're not getting yourself in front of new people, your pipeline is going to dry up, right? And that's why it's a continuous cycle. The top salespeople, even the people I'll talk about our friend across the street, Serhant, right? He spends most of his day prospecting, right? And he has hundreds, if not thousands, of listings. He has hundreds, if not thousands, of agents, but he's always prospecting. And the reason for that is that he knows that, yes, he could close everything he has right now and probably make a lot of money, but then in 3 months, 6 months, a year, when everything sells out, he's going to have nothing. And that's why it is imperative for you to put hours of prospecting in your day. Now again, Jeb comes up with an equation, right? And we can look at these metrics, but our performance is only dictated by 2 things, right? One is our efficiency and one is our effectiveness. And if you add those 2 things together, you're going to get what your performance is. And for all of us, we have a different efficiency, right? So within a time block period, right? And when we're talking about prospecting, we're usually talking about 30 minutes to an hour minimum for a time block period. How much activity are you generating, right? How many calls are you making, right? That is going to go into your performance. And so if you sit down and say, oh, I'm going to be, doing calls, and again, we call them cold calls, warm calls, lukewarm calls, hot calls, whatever you want to call them, right? If we talk about how many calls you can accomplish in a 1 hour period, that is your efficiency, right? And the effectiveness is the ratio between your activity and your outcome, right? Of those calls, how many are leading to actual prospects, actual customers, clients, leads, whatever you want to call them, right? And so what we need to do is we need to increase our efficiency and increase our effectiveness. And we can easily do that in 2 ways, right? The efficiency we can fix by actually blocking time to do prospect, right? So when you start a prospecting session, you should have a list of people you're calling. You should not be on Property Shark looking up owners. That's not prospecting, right? That's doing the work that needs to be done to prospect. So that should happen before you prospect, right? To pull lists from Cole Realty, that's not prospecting, right? Only the actual act of you dialing the phone to call those people is your prospecting time. And we can also increase your effectiveness, right? And that's, again, what we're going to be talking about a little bit about what scripts we can use, right? What ways to construct a message that we can give to someone in a very short period of time, right? Because we have about 30 seconds to hook this person. And what we can do to increase your effectiveness, right? And again, I think I came up with at least one that again I ran by another manager in the Hoboken office who really likes it. He thinks it will work very well for our market, and we'll talk about that. And again, that's what's going to generate your performance, right? What you're able to actually accomplish in this business. So again, when we're prospecting, we kind of want to have 4 potential outcomes, and based on what you're doing in your prospecting time, right? What you need to do is figure out why you're calling people, right? What is the objective that you're going out with? And again, we might hit different people over the course of a call session, and we might be reaching for different things, right? So again, maybe it's setting an appointment, right? To actually take them out. Maybe it's gathering information to see what their timeline is for actually needing to move, right? And qualifying them. Can they afford something? Can they actually get to the outcome that you're looking for, right? Which is becoming kind of like a prime candidate to buy, rent, again, whatever it is. Is it to close a sale, right? Is it to actually get them to commit to an apartment, right? And maybe that's on open house follow-ups, right? Maybe that's on following up people who came to a rental open house. Or it could be to build familiarity, right? You know, sometimes the first calls are just introducing yourself. Sometimes the first calls are just making sure they understand your name, and then it's going to build the relationship, right? You know, Anthony, when you're calling landlords in Brooklyn, maybe it's just to say, hey, I live in the neighborhood and wanted to let you know about the market, right? I'm Anthony. I live at 123 Main Street. Love to introduce myself to you, right? So that could be the objective, and to get more information from them. How many apartments do you own? When are the next leases coming up, right? Because the timeline is not always going to be, I'm going to buy today, I'm going to buy tomorrow, I'm going to buy in a week, I'm going to buy in a month. It could be, I'm going to rent something in 2 months, I'm going to rent something in a year. And knowing that gets you closer to having someone that you're actually going to close, right? So that can be a part of building the familiarity with you as well as gathering information.
Yeah, they're very easy to talk to, the landlords here in the neighborhood. And a rule of prospecting is having something to offer. And I was just thinking while you're talking, something as simple as offering them a comparison of what they're getting for their rental properties versus what similar properties in the area are getting.
Yeah.
So that's valuable information.
A great thing to do with an owner of a building is say, hey, I'd love to help you increase your rent roll, right? And just by saying that, you're giving them an item value.
Yeah.
Why don't we sit down and look at your leases, the expirations, the income, and I can give you some tips of things that you can do to increase your rent roll or maybe decrease costs, right? Again, if you're going after landlords, there are 2 things that they can control: income and expenses, right? And so if let's say it's a rent stabilized building, you can't control income, maybe you can fix expenses a little bit and help them save money somewhere.
Yeah. And depending on the size of the building, they don't get a ton of calls, so they're happy to talk to you.
The size doesn't matter at all, because they could be a seller, they could be someone who has something.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, right? One apartment's an apartment. Doesn't matter if it's a 50-unit building.
Yeah,
or
that's true.
I mean,
if you could get anyone that I've been able to get on the phone, which is usually on their cell phone anyway, like they pick up, they've been happy to talk to you.
Great.
Offer them a cup of coffee or a free lunch to talk over lunch or coffee. And I think, most people will say yes. It's just following through and actually doing the action.
Doing the action, exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks, Anthony. Okay, so again, time management is the one thing, right? We all have 24 hours in a day. What we do with them will determine how successful we are. And for the most part, time blocking is going to be the thing that will solve a lot of the issues that you probably have. Now, Jeb and Joe Greco, who follows a lot of what he talks about the golden hours, right? The time that is most sacred at the beginning of the day. And again, I'm saying 10 a.m. He says it's 9 a.m., but I say 10 a.m., right? Because we're a little bit later here. 10 to 12 every single day should be for prospecting only, right? And I repeat that, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. every day should be for prospecting only. You should not be doing appointments, showings. You should not be sending emails. You should not have distractions, right? And if you can give yourself 2 hours a day to do this, I promise you, your income is going to double, triple, quadruple, be in the 6 figures easily this year, right? If you can set aside from 10 to 12 every day, or again, if you have stuff in the morning, fine, from 12 to 2, fine, from 2 to 4, whatever it is. You can pick 2 hours a day to set aside to fully commit to prospecting by phone, right? No phone, no appointments, no showings, no distractions, right? You focus on one task at a time. You have the list prepared before, so all you do during that time period is call. And again, if you say, I can't do 2 hours in a row, fine, do 1 hour twice a day, do half an hour 3 times a day. But this is going to be concentrating your power, right? You do one task at a time, you create the list in advance and keep notes on the list, time block 30 minutes afterwards to update your MyWhiteCard system or whatever CRM you're using. You turn your phone on Do Not Disturb and you do not have your email open, right? The only thing you should be focusing on is those people, the objections they come up with, and how to get over those objections, right? That's it. And if you can do this, I promise you, I guarantee you, right, that you will make more money this year than you thought you could. And yes, you will have more people say no, hang up the phone. But as Anthony mentioned, most people are okay, or they're not going to be, super rude on the phone. So don't worry about that, right? Get over that objection. Who cares? If you want to make more money this year, this is what you need to do. So again, when we're talking about phone prospecting, we're going to talk about a couple other ways, but this is really the one that I want you to focus on. There are basically 5 things that you need to do, right? And we have about 20 to 30 seconds to do this. And I think I came up with, and again, I ran it by Joe Greco, who I trust implicitly on this. He's one of the top, cold callers. He's got a lot of the information. He's gotten his agents to do this, and they are extremely successful, right? People who just got into real estate in his office are doing between $8 and $12 million their first year by sticking to this, right? By sticking to this prospecting, right? And 8 to 12 million in sales for us is actually fewer sales, so you could probably actually do more. And in your pocket, that's going to be about $250,000 to $500,000, right? It's a ton of money. It's a ton of money. So what you have to do is get their attention, identify yourself, tell them what you want, build a bridge, and ask for what you want, right? It's very simple. And again, I came up with this, which I think is a great example of a prospecting phone call, right? This is not the perfect one. Well, I'm saying it's perfect. It's not perfect, but it's a good prospecting phone call, right? So again, when you're going out there, you have to think about the situation and what you're doing. In this case, again, in this example that we have here, I'm talking about an open house that I hosted, right? So again, Kathy, this can apply to you for every open house you've ever hosted, right? Anthony, same thing. Christine, same thing. Aiden, same thing, right? It can be for a rental or for a sale, doesn't matter, right? And again, this example, I'm using a property that I had for sale. Hi, Joe, right? Because again, you're acknowledging them, you're doing the first step and getting their attention, you have their name. This is Jason Bauer with WhiteCard. To get to the point, right? That's saying that you respect their time. I have 138 Broadway for sale, and we had over 24 guests this weekend at the open house. And there are many buyers looking in your building, right? If it's a condo, many buyers looking in your block, many buyers in the market right now. Would you be open for a quick meeting to value your home and learn the benefits of selling off market, right? What am I doing there? I'm telling him what I want, right? I want to meet with him, and I'm giving him something he wants, right? I want to help you value your home and learn the benefits of selling off market, right? Again, isn't that a hook for someone who might be thinking about selling their property, right? There's a benefit to selling off market. Well, what are those benefits, right? They got to meet you to learn them. You're not just giving it all away, right? You're not just giving everything away in the thing. I'm in the neighborhood today at 5 and tomorrow at 12. What works for you, right? And again, the worst you can say is, hey, I'm not interested right now. Okay, not a problem. Would you mind if I kept you updated on the market and what's going on in Williamsburg, right? 99% of people are going to say, sure, not a problem, right? The 1% that says no, say, not a problem, thanks so much, right? Go on to the next call, right? If you think about it, in a 1 hour time block period, we should be able to make at least 50 phone calls, right? And again, there's going to be people that don't answer the phone. We'll talk about that. There's going to be people who don't want you to call them back. Not a problem, right? But we're opening a dialogue with people, right? And the more people, right? If you think about this, right? Even if you had a 1% conversion rate, right, on calls, if you talk to 100 people a day, that means you're getting one more prospect a day, right? What would 5 prospects a week mean to you closing, right? Think about the people that you actually work with, right? Of every X clients, how many do you close, right? So again, if you're 1 in 5, that means you're having one more sale a week from doing this. If you're 1 in 100, or that's a lot, but usually we can do a lot better than that. But again, if it's 1 in 30, that means you're getting one more close sale a month, or one more close transaction a month, right? If you're getting 1 a day and you're converting, 1 a month. So think about that, right? If you did 12 more transactions, be it rental or sale, what would that mean to you? Well, our average sale commission to an agent is about $2,500 per rental. So would $30,000 change the way you live, right? And again, it's about $20,000 per sale that we're talking about. So would another $300,000 change the way you live, right? That's how easy this business is, and so difficult at the same time, because none of you are actually doing this, right? And I'm here to help you do this because I think you guys all have the potential to be extremely good at this. Again, our mindset is one that we are always afraid of rejection, right? We don't want someone to say no. We don't want someone to hang up the phone. But as Anthony said, most people are fairly nice, right? Even if they're not fairly nice, at least they'll be like, no, I'm not interested. Thanks so much. Next call, right? That's it. You have to let it roll off your back. And this is something that you will build on the more calls that you do, right? I don't care if someone says, go after yourself on the phone anymore, right? I'm like, whatever, they don't want to work with me. Fine. There's someone else out there that wants to, right? And every additional call that you make gets you closer to that person who actually wants that information, right? The best agents are rejected the most, right? Because they're creating the most opportunities. So if you want to be the best agent, you need to create more opportunities, right? You need to be rejected time and time and time and time again. If you're not being rejected, you're not going to be successful in this business, right? That means you're not going on enough listing presentations. You're not talking to enough people. You're not creating enough opportunities for yourself. So again, the gist of what Jeb says is don't leave a message, right? Because again, you want to get them on the phone so you can tell them something. But if for some reason you feel like you have to leave a message, right? And so this is a little different than what I said before, right? My new best practice is don't leave a message, right? Call them back the next day, right? You have a list you go through one day, you put notes down in there, you update in the CRM, and if they don't answer on Tuesday, you put it in to call them on Wednesday, right? Until you get a response from them. If you do leave a message, you say, you identify yourself, say your name twice, tell them why you're calling, right? And again, I would say, maybe leave a message if you did an open house and have a bunch of buyers or something like that. If you're just generally prospecting or, trying to get a landlord, you really want to talk to them on the phone. So again, give them a reason to call you back and then say your number twice. So again, there are other ways of doing prospecting, right? In-person prospecting is another way to go. In our market, that's kind of called door knocking, right? And many times we don't feel comfortable door knocking in New York City. That's totally fine. There are other ways of in-person prospecting, right? This is talking, again, if you work in commercial real estate or you want to start to get an in maybe with a landlord, what is one of the best things you can do, right? Let's say you can't find the landlord's number for a building, Anthony, right? And there's a commercial space on the ground floor. One of the best things you can do is walk in there and talk to whoever's working there, right? Because that person is probably going to talk shit to you about the landlord, right? They're going to talk to you about what the landlord is saying, what's going on with the building, yada, yada, right? Oh, you didn't fix the gas line, yeah, we had a leak, like what, all this stuff, right? And you can probably get the landlord's number from that person, right? So it's all about building a relationship, right? And maybe that person is fed up with their commercial space and they want to find another one, right? Build a relationship with them. What you also want to do is you also want to be prepared, because if you walk in or if you meet with someone, right, if you go door knocking and they say, well, I might actually want to list my property, right? Then you need to have the listing presentation together, right? Well, I might actually be thinking about buying. Make sure you have a buyer consultation with you, right? You can have generic versions of both of them. What the closing costs are, right? Always be prepared for whatever, because you never know when an in-person meeting could be something where you're actually trying to close or bring them to the next level. So again, email prospecting, right? This is a great one in our market because we can easily pull 1,000-person lists and get information from Whole Realty, right? We can get tons and tons of emailing. There's no restrictions whatsoever on email marketing. So there's a couple things that we want to remember. We want to make sure the email is going to be delivered. And so Jeb's suggestion is to send them individually, right? That can be time consuming. You can do it. Again, you can kind of plug it into a spreadsheet. You can use something like Constant Contact. You can use My Wiper to send them out. Again, you don't want to spam just copy and paste a bunch of emails and send an email. It's not going to be delivered. Make sure it's going to be open, right? And so the most important thing we do there is we have a really engaging tagline, right? Not market report in your area, right? Who wants to open it, right? Market report in Chelsea, right? We're changing it. We're changing all of our stuff this year because we need to be more successful. And I want you to be more successful. So we need to be more creative. So again, make sure that the email is going to convert, right? You have to ask them what you need. You need to ask for an appointment or you need to ask for qualifying information. So again, we do this by having a hook, right? Getting their attention with a compelling subject line and opening sentence. We relate to them, demonstrate that you understand them and their problem, right? Whenever we're prospecting, and again, it can be a little challenging sometimes because maybe we're sending an email and it goes after landlords and it gets to landlords and renters and whatever, right? We can pull some of these separately so we can have lists of emails of more specific, owners of buildings, owners of condos, renters in condos, renters in rental buildings. But again, demonstrate that you get them in their problem. Bridge how you can solve their problem and ask them for an action, right? In a way that they want and it's going to be pleasurable for them to do. And again, I came up with this. I think this is, again, my perfect email for prospecting. You can use the script on calls. You can use the script whenever you need to, right? And this is to people who live in rental buildings, right? This is, I think, an under-targeted segment of our market, right? Christine and Anthony, you've worked with a ton of renters, and one of the things they probably complain about is what? That rents go up every year, right? And so, again, I came up with this late last night, early this morning. Send an email to an entire rental building and say, lock in your current rent for 30 years, right? Think about that, right? If you're renting, what does that sound like to you, right? Like you're getting a rent controlled apartment, a rent stabilized apartment, right? But we're talking about even better than that. So this is what I would do to try to convert. And again, you can use this script over the phone too. You can use this in a text. You can do this however you want to prospect. But again, use this, right? Pick 2 or 3 rental buildings and use this. And let's see what the results are, right? Lock in your current rent for 30 years as a subject line, right? Hi, Joe, or hi, neighbor, right? If you don't know who they are, it doesn't matter. But usually you have their name. I know you're busy, so I'll get to the point. In this rising rental market, everyone is concerned about what they'll pay when their lease ends, right? Did I just get their attention? Did I just hook them? Because don't most people who sign a rental lease in New York sign 1-year leases, right? So when you think about it, they probably takes them 2 to 3 months to move in and unpack and get settled, right? And then a couple months go by and they're like, oh shit, I have to think about what I'm going to do next year. What is my landlord going to increase my rent to, right? Think about that. In this rising rental market, everyone's concerned about what they'll pay when their lease ends. What if you could have a better apartment and know the monthly payment was the same every year, right? You could be paying less and actually putting money into your pocket, not your landlord's. I would love to share with you how buying in this market could benefit you. Would you be able for a call on Tuesday around 2? Looking forward to hearing from you, Jason, right? So again, we hook them because renters are always thinking about the increase in their rental rates. We're relating to them, right? They have a problem. Their rents are going up, right? I get that. You bridge it by telling them how you can help them solve their problem, right? By thinking about buying. And then you ask them for an appointment to talk to them, right? How easy is this, right? What do you guys think about this? I'd love to get all your reactions to this kind of specific script.
I think one thing important to note is that you're not asking for any commitment right now over the phone. You're just asking for permission to set an appointment to speak with them about it and provide more information. So, you're not asking for a lot, just a little bit of an appointment of time to talk, either over coffee, over lunch, or on the phone. And that's important to note that we're not trying to close the deal over the phone. We're just trying to set an appointment.
We're trying to build a relationship, right? And again, if we do this in emailing, we can hit tens of thousands of people, right? And get some responses. Christine, what do you think? Christine, you there?
I'm on the train, so not the best time for me to talk. I'm gonna lose service in a minute.
Well, what do you think? Quickly, what do you think about it?
I'm going to.
Yeah. Aiden, Kathy? Kathy's walking.
I think it works. I'm gonna try it out and send it to a few apartments myself. But you know, I trust you. I trust your script writing. Usually, I like your wording. Not much to say really.
I like it too. I like the subject, and I took a picture of it, so this way I know we're going to have it in an email later anyway. But
Yep.
I think it's why rebuild the wheel. We could just use that.
Yep. And the only thing
it
we need
makes
to do
sense.
in this is, again, if you're going to do this on calls, all you would say is, hi, Joe, it's Jason with Weicker. I know you're busy. So again, just add that in there, right? But in an email, it's in the footer. So it's fine. You don't need to put it in there. But so Christine said it's simple and straight to the point, which again, and again, if you got an email saying lock in your current rent for 30 years, would you open it? Most people would.
Of course I'll open it, but can you really lock his rent for 30 years, Jason?
Yes, you can, Kathy. Because when you purchase a home, your interest rate is the same for 30 years.
Oh, so you wanted to buy. I got that now.
Yeah.
That's what's okay.
Yep. This is to convert renters into buyers.
Okay.
Which many people should be doing, right? Especially in this market, because rents are going crazy.
Okay.
And if you do the math, right? Again, we did it on one of the other ones that I did with Dewey. If you do the math, a lot of people who are, if you're paying basically $5,000 or more for a rental, or even if you're paying $3,000 for a studio, you can buy a studio for less than that. Right? If you're paying $5,000 or $6,000 for one bedroom, you can buy a one bedroom for less than that. If you're paying more than, I think, $9,000 for a two bedroom, excuse me, $9,000 to $10,000, you can pay less than that. Right? Because we have co-ops here, prices are better. We have condos here, you can always rent them out. Right? These are great opportunities for people. Okay, so text messaging, right? You can also text, right? Again, we have calls, we have emails, we have text, we have in person. Text messaging familiarity is key, right? Again, text messaging works best with people that you've either talked to already or met in person, right? Texting is, and again, Jeb talks about it, texting is really seen as an invasive and familiar thing, right? Because you know that you're getting the person, and most people will see a text no matter when you send it, right? People can delete an email. You can't really delete a text unless you delete the whole message, right? So when you meet with someone, right? Let's say you meet someone in person, you get their phone number. During the conversation, you said, sounds good. Let me text you and we can get together, right? Always try to find a LinkedIn request after you meet them. Again, this builds familiarity with them, especially, a landlord, a developer, something like that. Within 24 hours of meeting, send a text saying, so nice to talk to you. Love to get together for coffee on X date, right? If you don't get a response, text them later in the day. And if you don't get a response to that second one, then go back to call and email, right? One of the biggest things we can do when we meet someone in person also, and again, I added this in with the texting stuff because he talked about it later in the book, but if you meet with someone, right, or if you have a great conversation with someone and you know their address, right? So Anthony, you probably get this all the time. Send a handwritten note within a week. It's going to differentiate you from every single person. Hey, Joe, so nice talking to you about your property. Really looking forward to working together. Thanks so much, Anthony. Send your card. Boom, you're done, right? Takes about 2 seconds to write the card, and you're going to stand out from anyone else, right? I can tell you that I got a listing because after the listing appointment, I sent a handwritten note saying, it was so nice to see your beautiful apartment. Really hope to work with you in the future. If not, best of luck with the sale, right? And they called me 4 days later when they got the card and they said, you are the only one who followed up like this. We really liked that personal touch, right? So handwritten notes, even in this digital age, are extremely effective as well. Okay, so again, we went through a bunch of ways of prospecting, right? The most effective, the most time effective one, the one that is going to get you the most results faster than anything else is calling, right? I would say you couple calling with emailing, right? It's kind of like when you're talking about retirement, right? You want to diversify your portfolio, you need to diversify what you're doing for prospecting, right? So time block time each week to make calls, right? And again, that's having a list together, sitting down with that list and making the calls for at least 2 hours a day to start, right? And again, you'll get to a point where it gets easier. You'll get to a point where anything like that, right? The only question that matters in all of this, right? And the reason that we do these is to give you additional ideas of things that you can do, right? To be successful. It's something that, really you need to answer for yourself, right? Do you want to be successful in real estate? Right? If the answer is yes, start doing this. If the answer is no, talk to me, we'll put your license in referral, right? Because you need to want to be successful in order to get over the hurdles that will be in your way, right? Again, we talked about at the beginning, right? You're going to procrastinate. So if you don't want to make money, if you don't want to be successful in real estate, you're never going to get through procrastination. You're going to say, I don't know the scripts. I don't know what to send. I don't know what, blah, 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 right? Or you're going to say, I don't know who to call, who to do whatever, right? The paralysis. All you need to do is do it, right? And again, what you need to do is answer the fact that you have to say, I want to be successful, right? Mindset's important in this, right? Dedication and determination and grit, right? Jed talks about grit in the book. It's an amazing book. Again, Fanatical Prospecting by Jed Blunt. I totally recommend it. It's got me fired up. Hopefully you guys too. And for anyone who wants to reinvigorate themselves in this business, right? There is a training and coaching session starting this coming Monday. The session runs for 90 days total, right? The first 2 weeks, it's Monday through Friday from 10 to 12. You must commit to Monday through Friday, 10 to 12 for the next 2 weeks. Or if you can't make those 2 weeks, they'll start it again in 2 weeks, right? But it's 2 full weeks, Monday through Friday, 10 to 12, that you can register for this, right? And you guys can all register right now in WPNYC University for either the first or the second session. The first part is called Jumpstart, right? It's going to be about mindset training, the WPNYC selling system, setting up for success, right? And what this is also going to give you is some additional coaching from some of the business development coaches that are working in our region. It's going to give you additional training on mindset, accountability partners and things like that. There is a 5% referral fee due at the end of this program on your first 2 non-rental transactions, which is basically nothing, right? It's 5% is nothing in the grand scheme of things. And we basically are going to help you to make sure that you do a deal in the next 90, and again, in our market, probably 120 days, right? At least 1 or 2 deals. The goal is for you to have 1 listing and 1 sale. But in our market, you might have 2 sales. But if you do this program, right, you're going to be more successful this year. And again, you can sign up in WPNYC University, go to WPNYC 1, right-hand corner, WPNYC University. You have to answer some questions. You have to kind of apply to it. It's starting next Monday or 2 Mondays from now, depending on which session you want to do. But it's a really great way to continue on this. In the meantime, again, time block yourself, right? If we haven't done a one-on-one yet, email me right after this, some times that work for you to come in the office. We'll do our one-on-one. And again, the only thing holding you back, right? Because there are opportunities out there, right? There are opportunities that abound. We have leases signed, contracts signed every week in this office, right? And the agents who are productive are ones who are getting out there and being proactive and prospecting, right? And they're prospecting in a ton of different ways. If you're new or if you don't have enough in your pipeline, this is the only thing you should be focusing on, right? At the end of the week, you should be telling me, hey, I made, again, when I send out that email, right? Why do you think I asked how many prospecting calls you made, right? Because we can track and we can see that the more prospecting calls people make, the more listing appointments or buyer consults they're doing, the more success they're having, right? Again, our top listing agents are prospecting for sale listings all the time. Our top buyers agents are prospecting for buyers all the time, right? The only thing holding you back from this is you. And I can help you as much as you want to, but until you get off your ass and get started, nothing's going to happen. So with that, thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time. I'm going to stop the share. Again, happy to answer any questions that you have about this. I'll be sending out the slides and everything like that, but just start working, right? That's all you have to do. And your only work is prospecting, right? Everything else, showing apartments, putting together lists, updating your CRM, whatever it is, right? That's secondary. The only thing you need to be doing is getting in touch with new people, right? New people, making connections, making contacts, getting listings. getting buyers, getting sellers, whatever it is. So does anyone have any questions or comments? No? Okay, go do it. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jason.